Hi, folks. This is another week of the Disney Film Project Reloaded podcast. I'm joined always by Rachel.
Hello, guys.
And so this week we're doing a double episode because we had some technical issues last episode. So some of
Yep.
you on Facebook probably already saw half of this. If you did watch on Facebook, we're just going to go do the whole thing, 2 different episodes.
hmm
We're going to go from there. So last week on Facebook, you probably were tuning in for some of it. We hope. If you weren't, I get that. Facebook's not always the best thing in the world.
hmm
Um, so we had, so I had come up with a couple shows. One was Vampirina, which it's a cute show. I mean, it's a way to bring subliminal messages into children. I really think. Because you're dealing with not just you're dealing with like kids getting along, but you're dealing with monsters and vampires and humans being scared of each other in the first episode. It's like, so there you've got it. You've already got your you've already got your message out there, kind of. Um, but basically, you've got this vampire going along. Um, they move to the human world and they kind of somehow sometimes decide they want to be in the background or if they want to be in the front ground. The first 2 episodes basically are the, I would say, front ground. That one, they introduce themselves to their new neighbor who gets um, kind of scared, but then she makes, and then her brother and her go up to Vampirina's room, and they make her, the brother is not so much of a quick friend with Vampirina, but boys and girls, that type of thing. So but the girl makes friends with Vampirina, and they get together with like liking the music and having this cool dollhouse that Vampirina has that you can pull apart the monsters. And then in the second episode of that, the mother opens her Airbnb, and then they have to deal with that the father invited the neighbors over
hmm
to why they're painting their house, and then on the other side, the mother's Airbnb opened, and they've got 2 clients in already. And then they're like, oh no, what are we gonna do? I mean, can't build more bedrooms, folks, I guess. So um, they decide, monsters are out up at night. Humans are asleep at night and up during the day. So they would try that. So the first night didn't get so well because the ladies were tired right as they went in. But so they were like occupying time in the kitchen while the ladies were up there getting dressed, and then they quickly switched them out the next morning. I try to remember what happened with where who stayed when. Obviously, you don't need that big of a plot point for the show.
Yeah.
Um, but basically, they get along, and then the mother had put up when the monsters had left her face mask on the bed. The mother put it on thinking it was her face mask, and then she gets up during the night. They're all talking in the kitchen, and then she said, "Oh, it was lovely meeting those 2 lovely ladies," and she was like, "Okay," and they not thinking about it, and then the and then they like, "Oh wait, what is she talking about? Oh wait, yeah, so wait, those 2 ladies they must have thought she was a monster."
hmm
And I don't know what she thought they were. I mean, they didn't really get
Yeah.
into that. They didn't get into the point that the ladies did give them 5 stars and that they liked the other monster that was staying there. So,
hmm
um, is it a show that I would watch every day? Probably not. if it was between this and the president, I would definitely watch this. I just don't like news, folks, in general. I mean, even if it was Anderson Cooper on, I mean, Wolf Blitzer.
Mhm.
I'm not a big news person. I mean, golf. I would rather watch this than watch golf or watch tennis,
Mhm.
type of thing, or football even. I mean, I'm not type of a long-term attention span person. So, I mean, I'll start watching a baseball game if I know like it's gonna end soon because it's 0-0. But I mean, I'm like, you can ask anybody. Like, my longest thing is a movie, which is probably like 3 hours most, is like the last Marvel movie. So probably about
Like
that.
Endgame, yeah.
And that has to do a lot to get your attention span and keep your attention span. So,
Yeah.
type of thing. So, I do think that some of the Disney cruise stuff catches my eye, but again, that's something I'm more interested in. It's something like, something cool. They, things you haven't seen or people think that that's funny to go watch for at least, usually it's only like 1 hour, not usually two, also. So going on to that, we'll go to Rachel's next pick.
Okay, so my first pick, I looked at a lot of the original Disney Plus movies. So the first one that I have up is Noelle, which stars Anna Kendrick and Bill Hader, and it's about the children of Santa Claus. Santa Claus has just passed away a couple months ago, and Bill Hader, who plays Nick, it's Nick Kringle and Noelle Kringle. Nick has been groomed to be Santa Claus for his entire life. Unfortunately, he really doesn't want to be Santa Claus. He really doesn't want to be Santa Claus. And Noelle is all about Christmas, and she she loves the cold. She loves the holly jolly. She loves the decorations. It's her favorite time of the year. And and Nick is basically freaking out, having a bit of a nervous breakdown, and she tells him to take the weekend and go away and get his head straight. And he leaves with the reindeer and the sled, and the reindeer and the sled come back, but he is nowhere to be found. So the story kind of turns into a mashup of the Santa Claus and Elf. The Santa Claus because it's all about someone becoming Santa Claus, and Elf because Noelle has to go find Nick and venture out into the real world for the first time ever. She's never left the North Pole. So there's obviously a lot of culture shock going from the North Pole to, say, Phoenix, Arizona.
And then my question was, Anna Kendrick obviously has a great singing voice. I mean, she's been Pitch Perfect. I mean, all types of stuff, and with her voice, did they use this for the movie at all, or or do you feel she was underused?
I felt it was a bit underused. She does have basically a singing call for the little baby reindeer whose name's Snow Cone. She has like a little call that she sings to get him to come, but otherwise she doesn't really sing that much in it. Most of the singing is done by an elf choir, which features Ron Funches, who's a comedian that's kind of becoming a little more well known. Um, and the other bigger actors I would say in this movie are Shirley MacLaine, who is kind of a legend, and she plays their former nanny, who now just basically takes care of everything around the house, does laundry, does the cooking, etc. And she's basically like an aunt or like a grandma figure. Um, and Billy Eichner plays their cousin, who is the head of the IT department at the North Pole, and has some ideas for how to better modernize the process of distributing gifts. But not all of his ideas necessarily go according to plan. So my feeling on this was I'm really glad that I that this was like a Disney Plus movie. I think that's exactly where it should be, is Disney Plus. And then
This was my thing. Okay, so we're gonna judge these stuff by would you rent it? I guess for some. Okay, would you red box it for the dollar? I guess in some of the, when we're talking about, especially with the 30 stuff. I mean, I'm mostly talking with the 30-minute stuff. Would you red box it for a dollar? Let's say $2, for example. Let me get a little bit more money here.
Okay.
So we're $0 for free, which is currently what we're both paying. $2 for a 30-minute movie, a 30-minute TV show like Vampirina, or let's do $10 to buy it. Which one would you pay in that series? I mean,
okay. I would actually probably buy this movie. I really enjoyed it quite a bit, and I could see myself watching it, like in the coming years. Like it's.
But you'd only pay 10. You wouldn't go pay like 15, for example.
Yeah. I don't think I would pay more than 10. No.
And then,
I'm very glad, and I don't think I would have seen it necessarily in theaters, but it's the perfect type of movie to watch at home with some cocoa and some Christmas cookies.
oh, how many of us have seen movies in theaters these days when we're so behind? I mean, everything's coming up and up, up. It's like I saw this forks, knives thing with Jamie Lee Curtis on, and I'm like, wait, what? Jamie Lee Curtis, and it's like a Clue. And it looks
Knives
like
Out,
it's gonna be like PG, okay? Is that going to like be like Stephen King? I hope. Otherwise, I'm not gonna go watch it.
I was gonna say I think it's gonna be rated R because it's by Rian Johnson, who did Last Jedi. Yes.
So, all right.
But I'm very excited to see that one. Unrelated to Disney.
I'll probably have to rent it then, because if it's gonna be scary, I'm gonna want to be like fast forwarding over the scary stuff. I thought it was more like Clue.
Yeah, like it looks very funny. So I'm hoping that it leans in on that.
We need a Clue.
Well,
Get on that, people.
Yes. Or we could just re-show the original Clue in theaters again. I would be down for that too.
I think we need another Clue, but maybe not call it Clue. Like they like, I don't know, someone like this movie, but kind of later. You know, obviously if it's R, you know, but we come up with something where it's kind of, you know, PG-13ish.
Yeah.
I recently watched 2 things because apparently Netflix got a deal with Nickelodeon somehow. And I watched 2 Nickelodeon movies on Netflix, and both of them, I have to say, were really good. I mean, I would, you know, pay the even $2, but you know, they're free on Netflix. I mean, what can you say? So back to Vampirina. I wouldn't pay for Vampirina either, but again, I would just go along with what it said, is that, you know, it's better than watching other stuff for me. I'm sure we all have our, I'm sure we all have our things we totally hate to watch. Type of thing. So my next choice was Phineas and Ferb. I believe we covered some of Phineas and Ferb. I still haven't checked this out, folks. I'm sorry, I'm way behind on stuff. Blame Rachel. It was her vacation.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so behind. I was busy all weekend.
Yes.
So Phineas and Ferb, basically 2 brothers and a sister who likes to bust them. They basically go every day and decide what they're going to do today, joined by their neighborhood friends of Buford and Baljeet.
I apologize if you can hear my dog barking in the background. He's barking about something. I don't know what. Please continue.
Dogs bark. Continue. My dog's locked in the other room. And only barks at the UPS or doorbell rings. Although no, he does not good, not a big barker. So continuing on with that, they also have Isabella has a dog, Pinky, who's a Chihuahua, and then we also we have Buford Balji. Buford ends up getting a pet fish, pet goldfish. Balji is basically the smartest kid on the block. You know, even smarter sometimes than Phineas, they say. And then we have Candace, who wants to bust him. We also have Candace's boyfriend Jeremy to kind of, you know, get Candace out of the way sometimes, or sometimes totally in the way. Is it really? I mean, I remember the car wash episode where they go get the car in this like credible car wash. Or then there's this other episode where so she decides that she's gonna follow Jeremy all day. And then Phineas and Ferb decide to build a spa in the backyard. And her friend is saying, like, why don't we skip out on this and just stay and go with the spa?
Yeah.
And the Candace is like, no, it will be fast. I mean, it's like, you know, hammer one nail, we're done. It's not that way, folks. First, it's not that way, obviously. So then they do all the stuff, and then it's bye, and then they're back at the thing. Candace is ready to bust them when her friend goes, no, we're not busting them. We're gonna enjoy this last massage to this fake spa, and then we're gonna let them have it. So and also we had the adventures of Perry the Platypus. Perry is a secret agent, not known by them at first. We find that out later. In the seasons that they find out, and then they don't find out, then they find out again. I mean, there's also a lot of time traveling, folks, and they actually do time traveling pretty well. There's some obviously changes that happen, like Candace in the future, her two sons were not named the correct two sons that she said she was going to have with Jeremy. We don't even know if she married Jeremy. I'm gonna call that the Flash paradox, because if you watch Flash at all, when he went back in time and then came forward again, he had turned one of the characters' children from female to male, and that makes a and that currently makes a difference in the current point, believe it or not, because, you know, I think it would be totally different had it been a girl in currently where we are, because I think totally things would have gone totally differently. But I don't, you know, it's so hard.
There might be another universe in which, you know, like we don't quite know how things work with time travel theoretically. There might be another universe in which Candace does have kids with those names, and maybe in one universe she's married to Jeremy, another one she's not.
I don't know. It's very, you know, they try not to get into too much. Obviously, they just basically there for the joke, and then they're out. Yeah. Type things. Basically, get for mom to bust them, and mom's like, Candace, they're like adults now. I really can't bust them. You know, it's not like, it's not like they're, you know, they're young. It's like, no, I'm not gonna bust them.
Yeah.
The series does end up ending, but they do continue up with Perry and his adventures with Auka and the Auka Files, for when you catch up with that. Also, we find out that Isabella's dog is also an Auka agent, and also has her own nemesis. The one episode I remember from that one is the one where she decides that decides Isabella's going to help Phineas all day. And then one of the things Isabella needs some sap from this tree. Phineas needs sap from the tree. Isabella offers to go get it. They have to go through this old broken ride to go get it. And so they manage to get it. But then we also find out the nemesis is trying to get the hairspray that was made with this tree. And she gets there, she's all happy, she's all in the room, and then it all goes all over once. So too much hairspray, folks, and then you get frizz. um, so Pinky wasn't that, and it was Pinky. You know, it was all Pinky's fault. So we have only a few episodes of Pinky in the series. We have also Planty the Plotted Plant is one of the more funnier episodes where Perry isn't available that day, and then he makes an enemy of a plant. There's also one where they have the local platypus gets freed, and then he shows up at Dr. Fitzgerald's, and he is able to conquer Dr. Fitzgerald's without even trying too much, because and then we also Dr. Fitzgerald has a daughter, Vanessa, and his ex-wife, which he still pays alimony for, but we don't know how much alimony.
Mm-hmm. Enough to keep his schemes going.
Yes, apparently so. And then I wanted to mention that one of the buildings on I-4, basically, if you Google I-4 eyesore, or and it looks exactly like Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated. I don't know if that's purposeful, or I don't think it's personal, folks. But it's still very funny because that building still looks like that, and they're supposed to still be building this building. They've got a lot of warnings on it. It still looks like this. So I call it the mailbox building because I think it looks like a mailbox, a giant mailbox.
Oh yeah.
So going from that, we'll go to Rachel's next pick.
Okay, so my next pick was the live-action remake of Lady and the Tramp. And I did hold off on rewatching the animated movie until I watched the live-action one. I've seen the animated one, but it's been some years since I've seen it. So I just kind of wanted to go in fresh and kind of judge it on its own merits. And then I watched the animated one almost immediately after, and they're almost entirely beat for beat the same movie. Obviously, like, there's some elements of having some live action dogs. They have they kind of do a mix of live action dogs, and then they'll do like CGI to make their faces move or make their mouths move. And they have some star casting with it as well, doing the voices of the dogs. Probably the most perfect one is they get Sam Elliott to play the next door neighbor dog, which is pretty perfect casting. And the other big change that they made in it was cutting the Siamese cat song and replacing it with a new song that is probably much more palatable to today's audiences than the previous one. But I will say that I mean, you lose a lot of the charm of the original movie, and like kind of the style of it, and definitely the art style of it. And this is definitely one that I'm happy with seeing it for free on Disney Plus, but I don't think I would even necessarily Redbox it. That's not to say anything bad about the actors in it. They all do their jobs and they all do pretty well. And I enjoyed it while I was watching it, but it's not something I ever feel like I need to go back to and
compare
watch
this to the Jungle Book. Let me ask you that. Let's go animated versus animated. How do you feel versus take this version versus the Jungle Book, which was obviously more production, more money, because they were a movie, or any of the Jungle Books we've seen, for example, where we've dealt with live animals. How do you feel versus that?
I much preferred the look of the animals from like the most recent live action Jungle Book, the Jon Favreau Jungle Book. Obviously, because there was a lot more money behind it, so there are definitely moments.
But we've seen some low budget ones, and I'm not sure. I'm asking you. We've seen some low budget ones. Do any of the low budget ones match even this? or even those more? I mean, even though they have the same technology, I mean, do those do better than this?
I mean, at times, at its worst, it's on the same level as something like Beverly Hills Chihuahua and the Beverly Hills Chihuahua sequel, as far as the mouth moving with it,
Okay,
where the dogs themselves are really cute, but the animation with it is just kind of not great.
okay. And
So, but
next,
I will say I give props to Disney for actually using a rescue dog in the character of Tramp.
and hopefully they don't sequel this one out.
Yeah. we, I don't think we need a sequel to this one. It's probably not necessary.
You never know. We are talking
Knock on wood.
with a company that went with Beverly Hills Chihuahua 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
And they did animate Lady and the Tramp 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I don't know how many iterations of Lady and the Tramp there were after that one. I mean, I believe there was like at least 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was like the Scamps Adventure and
Yeah.
a couple other ones with the puppies. Yeah.
My next pick is based on Phineas and Ferb, Milo Murphy's Law. So, if you're not familiar with who Milo Murphy is, he's also in the tri-state area. Um, he is the grandson of the great grandson of the guy who wrote Murphy's Law. And so, first thing they establish is really the father and son really can't be too close at the same time because otherwise Murphy's Law will really happen.
Hmm.
Um, they start with this Melissa, his friend, and she starts with making bets with people in the bus that like, oh, Phineas will make it to school today. Who wants to bet by starting bell? And who wants to bet that? And everyone's going, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll bet my lunch. I'll bet my lunch. He shows up exactly on time, even though he's gone through all this. What has go wrong will go wrong. He's still there on time, so she ends up collecting lunches. So that's like one of the first episodes we're drawn to. And then we actually meet Zach, who
Yeah.
will go for the future. We'll talk about Zach's future later, but basically we find out he's from a boy band. And it's all totally funny. But actually, like he ends up doing Milo's adventures with him most of the time. Most of the time, it's not Melissa with him. It's mostly Zach gets caught in these adventures.
Yeah.
Milo, he does have a dog, not very smart, so not an Alka agent.
No, not an Elka agent. He is good at tracking though.
Yes.
That's the one thing you can give him.
And he doesn't know how to go home.
Yes.
um, we do get some crossover here eventually with Dr. Doofenshmirtz actually ends up moving in with them. There's a whole big crossover at the end of the beginning of the end of the first season into the second season. There's a whole big crossover with Phineas and Ferb and everybody, and then it just goes from there to Dr. Doofenshmirtz living with them. Because basically, apparently, they find out Dr. Doofenshmirtz saves the future, so they need him around. There are also these 2 other time traveling guys called Cavender and no, I'm trying to remember their names. These 2 traveling guys, they go around. They're by this travel agent service. They eventually get demoted because of Milo Murphy. And then they still end up hanging around all the time and end up on junk duty basically and still end up in trouble. Cavendish and Dakota are those 2 guys, by the way. And then we meet that other spies that they're up against that they go with. It's very funny, it's because spies saw it time they're both spies. The couple of me is both spies and time travel agents. So it's tremendously funny. One of the and at the end of the last season, we find out that um, they need these space people are targeting Milo. And we don't know why they're targeting Milo. They're just targeting Milo. And in order for them to get Milo to their world, they need to go ship to ship to ship to ship to ship. They planned this because they know what will go on. We'll go on with Milo. So they finally got him to the world, and they get him looking at her, and they're like, "You just need to embrace her. Don't be afraid of her," type of thing. And that's basically the end of Milo Murphy's Law. Well, not really, but that's kind of how we've kind of ended it for now. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if it's coming back or not. I really haven't checked on that. Yeah. Busy watching other stuff, folks. Busy watching other stuff to check back on Milo Murphy. But I would say it's if you like the humor of Phineas and Ferb, you definitely like the humor of Milo Murphy's Law. Yeah. But if you're not into that type of thing, I wouldn't recommending. If you didn't like Phineas and Ferb, don't watch this. Go watch maybe Gravity Falls or something.
Well, I feel like they kind of fall like as far as I think the fandoms. I think that there's a little bit of crossover there. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but also don't watch if you don't like Weird Al, because Weird Al is in it a lot.
Weird Al sings the theme song.
Yes.
I definitely again there's stuff that obviously, like, as we talk about plot and how plot goes and how things go, and this is a long haul, folks. Mm-hmm. This is not the short haul. If you want the short haul, go back to Vampirina. I mean, if you're willing to wait to find out everything that how everything meets together, like the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon type of thing. If you're willing to do that, that says something. I mean that's the joy of this shows, is to see where it's going. Yeah, and it's enjoy the ride in between.
Yeah, definitely for Gravity Falls, most definitely.
Well, Gravity Falls has a whole bunch of other stuff that totally is its own thing, though. Yeah. I mean, he really sucks. I mean, like, he gives hints all the way up in the beginning to what's going to happen in the end. You don't get that in Milo Murphy or Phineas and Ferb. You don't get the hints. You just get the ride.
Yeah, and you get I think the thing you get with Milo Murphy's Law, and especially with Phineas and Ferb, is the running jokes that it rewards people that have that are watching it in order, or have like watched it from the beginning.
Definitely there are those characters that come up again. Like there's this guy in the sewer ducks and milk box. There are those random characters that come out. At some point, I know that they end up listening to I'm LaDonna, I Want to Have Fun on Milo Murphy. They're listening to that on that show from Phineas and Ferb. So, I mean, it's, and we did, and they did, when Phineas and Ferb had the one episode where they knocked something else in someone's yard, one of the things they knocked was into Milo Murphy's yard, and it was the sister who got hit with it. So that's like our first test introduction there, to see if we were noticed, to go back and watch and say, oh wait, that's cool. I won't go back and watch that one or something like that. We want to go back and watch and see, how these connect. But again, if you're looking for plot stuff like that, these are not your shows. This is not the show you're looking for. Maybe go watch The Mandalorian if you want that. Because these are not your shows. These are basically, 30 minutes in, maybe an hour in. And then you don't have to really come back next week, next month, whatever. You don't even have to, it's not even like with some of the Netflix shows like Dragon Prince or She-Ra, where you feel like you have to just keep watching. You have to go. It's not really like that with this. It's like, because they're all individual spaced. So it's
Mhm.
not like you were even telling a story. That's the one thing I want to get along to people is that, there's always, if you want to see other kooky stuff with plots, I'm sure there are plenty of stuff on Disney Plus, but this isn't
Yeah.
it. And I mean, I would think, I mean, a lot of stuff doesn't have plots on this on the cartoon stuff because again, we're going for kids.
Yeah.
We're not going for adults. If the adults get the jokes, good for you. If the kids don't get the jokes, that's better. That's the better one.
Mhm.
All right, Rachel, what was your last pick?
Okay, so my last pick was one of the Pixar shorts that's exclusive to Disney Plus, making its premiere on Disney Plus, and it's called Float. And this is part of the Spark Short series by Pixar. It's a series where they gave some of their animators and other people within the company the chance to direct a short and to basically have the freedom to tell whatever type of story they want to tell. The one that got probably the biggest headlines when it debuted on YouTube was called Pearl, which was about a pink ball of yarn that goes to work for a company, and it's basically a office full of suits, all guys in suits, and about the fact that she has to kind of figure out how to carve out her own space in the workplace and to be successful as and also embrace and love who she is. Now, this one, Float, is about the father of a very young son. I think the story starts out when he's a baby or a toddler. He's like a toddler, I would say. Like, so maybe like 2, 3 years old. And, um, and it ends when I think he's maybe about like 6 or 7. And he discovers pretty early on that his child is different. He can actually fly. He can float above the ground, and he enjoys it. He likes the whole feeling of kind of like zooming around in the air, and clearly is having fun with it. But his dad sees pretty early on that this scares some people, and some people don't like it. So he starts giving his kid a backpack with, that's weighted down. He just generally discourages his son from floating. And this ends up coming to a head during a trip to the park. And it's a really very, very wonderful little short film, very emotional. Um, and if you watch there's a behind the scenes featurette talking about the making of it and talking about why he chose this particular story, what it means to him personally. And it's a stand in for his relationship with his son, who is on the autistic spectrum, which I thought that was a really beautiful way of expressing that in the film medium. So it's also not very long, so very easy to watch it. To watch all the Spark shorts, they're all worth watching.
It's too bad that the experience for the Pixar shorts is leaving because I would have liked to seen this just move into that theater.
Yeah,
It's too
I
bad
agree.
I'm too bad it's leaving, but um, well, we think it's leaving. We're not positive. I mean, no one knows. I mean, well,
Yeah,
the Imagineers know. Someone at Disney knows. I don't know. You don't know.
mhm, yeah,
Todd doesn't know, but somebody knows that if it's leaving or not. But that would have been a perfect voice for this path for this to give them longer start and to give them something that was actually in the theme parks, so that
yeah,
the masses can see the Pixar talent, not us, not us on these shorts on Disney
yeah,
Plus where you have something to pay for. It would have been
mhm,
nice for them to have continued this, and maybe they can somehow continue this. Who knows? You never
yeah,
know. But maybe over in Hollywood Studios, there's some building going on over there. Maybe we can find some space over there. But that would have been that would be a perfect spot for this because give them a little bit longer, like maybe 15 minutes,
mhm.
and
Yeah, because these
see
are
what
definitely
people.
maybe about like 5 minutes. Like they're pretty short films.
Yeah, I would like to maybe like the get a horse type of thing where we saw, or what's the other one, the pigeon one that they did that one too,
Hmm.
over in over in Epcot. They do that one too. So they did three. Um, I forget what the third one is, but it'd be nice if they could do that there, because I really, I mean, as a fan of someone like who has raw talent like Nick Patera, who, if you haven't caught him, he's awesome. And
Hmm.
this guy he's not a singer. I mean, he's built himself up to be a YouTube star thanks to Ellen. But
Yeah.
um but if Ellen hadn't seen him or Ellen hadn't noticed him, I mean, this guy, I mean, would definitely still modeling. I mean, he still does his job. Don't get me wrong. You can look in movies and see his name and say, "Oh yeah, he did this movie. Yeah, he's still there," you know,
Yeah.
type of thing. But it's still like to see them flourish with their what else they can do with
Yeah.
Pixar.
Exactly.
Get out of that box or bubble, as we like to say, type of thing. All right, folks. So this is the show, the end of the show for last week's show.
Hmm.
It's ended for the week of Thanksgiving. So we will post this link on YouTube, on Facebook, because we're not going to do double recordings this week. Rachel and I just don't have time. Rachel just
Yeah.
got back from vacation, and I am going crazy around here. I will eventually get my life back. I promise. Probably this weekend. I promise. At least one real movie, folks.
Yes.
One real movie soon. I promise you. One real movie that I have not talked about. All right. See you next episode, which should be next.
Yes. Bye.
Bye. Okay.